Peace and life, family. I hope that you are well. So it has been a while since I have last seen you all. So much has happened. I think the last video I did was like a couple days after my aunt had passed away. For those of you who did not watch the last video, my aunt so a lot happened on January 28th. My aunt and myself were diagnosed with COVID. We got it from my uncle, who's an essential worker. He brought it home and he was diagnosed on the 26th. We got tested and we both got diagnosed on the 28th. After that, of course, the COVID symptoms started taking over. And we definitely were having a time. But I myself started getting better. My uncle started getting better, but my aunt, unfortunately, was not getting better. On February 2nd, she had to end up going into the hospital. And on February 13th, she passed away. So today is March 11th. It is almost 1 month after my aunt passed. And in the last video, I revealed that, since my aunt, well, the day that they said my aunt only had 2 days, which was February 8th, my uncle had revealed some things about how he felt about their marriage and things like that kind of like caught me off guard and really surprised me because they were together for 32 years and I just wasn't expecting that. But you can watch the last video to see like what he revealed and all of that good stuff. And when she passed on February 13th, things kind of just, it all happened so fast. You know how you lose a family member quickly, and anybody that has lost a family member fast, suddenly, whether if it was from COVID, it was from murder, it was from accident, whatever, that it hits different. I've had family members who have passed away from like cancer. My other aunt passed away in 2014 from cancer. Anybody who knows my freeform block story, I cut my hair, I shaved my head bald the day of her funeral, and started my freeform block journey from there. That was June 2014, and she was sick for a while. So when someone is sick, you kind of have time to prepare. You kind of know it's coming, and it still hurts. It's still different. It still hits, but you have more time to prepare. So you kind of know, the time is coming. You get time to say goodbyes, to reminisce, to give hugs and kisses and thank yous and all that stuff. But when someone passes suddenly, you don't have that time. It's a shock. You don't understand why, what happened, like what's going on, so that's what this experience was. So within this past month, because in a couple of days it'll be a month since my aunt passed, so much has happened. Really, a lot of it was just me processing her passing, and dealing with the things that resulted from her pass. So my intentions with this video is to basically just share with y'all what I've been dealing with, how I've been dealing with it, and we're gonna talk about grief. We're gonna talk about a little bit of everything, and most of all, I had to do a am I depressed check-in. Like, what is happening with me? Am I depressed? Is this a depression? What is happening with this grief process? You know what I'm saying? So that's my intentions with this video. So my aunt passed February 13th, and when she passed, my uncle, he had already told us how he felt about their relationship. Long story short, he was not in love with my aunt. He was not emotionally connected with her. And so the way that he grieved was a bit different than everyone else. My uncle was ready to okay, let's clean out. We got to clean out the house. We got to get her stuff out the house. We got to, get this. He was more in like business mode because he also was about to return back to work the next week. Because he had COVID, so they gave him some time off work. So she passed on the 13th. That following week, he was gonna start work on Monday. He's like, look, we got to get this stuff out the house. We got to clean up, And my aunt had a lot of stuff. Like, we were not expecting to have to start going through her things so fast, because of course we were grieving. We were still in shock. When I say we, I'm speaking of like myself, my siblings, and I. Myself, my siblings, and I. Me, myself, and I. My siblings and myself, whatever. But yeah, we just were not expecting to have to move so quickly through this process. But he desired for her things to be out the house, and we had to oblige because it was either, we come get her stuff out the house or it's going in the trash. So my aunt had a lot. She had a lot, and I'm gonna like insert videos throughout this so you can give you an example of like how much stuff she had. My aunt was a person who, she loved fashion, she loved clothes, she loved shoes. She was a nail tech, so she was a nail tech for years, so she had a bunch of nail stuff and hair stuff. She was like a product junkie. She was like low-key a hoarder. Now that we like started going through the house, I'm like, Auntie, you were low-key a hoarder. But also, the hoarding was worth it, and I'll share more about that. But as we were going through the house, first off, my siblings live down south. I'm the only one that's in Brooklyn. So for me, I was going over there with my uncle almost every day, and we were spending 10 to 12 hours a day just going through things. My aunt kept everything. I found a purse with receipts in it from the 90s, from the 80s. She had one like an old school receipt from 1978, like of stuff that she had bought. Like, she kept everything. My aunt collected dolls because she collected like Barbie dolls and Cabbage Patch dolls and all kind of stuff. So she had a doll collection. She did upholstery. She made furniture. So she had all kind of fabric. She used to knit and sew. So she had crochet and stuff and yarn and all kinds of things. So we were just going through everything, and 10 to 12 hours a day. So during this time, we're going through her stuff. I'm like exhausted daily, because if you've ever been through this process, or if not, I'll just explain that the process of like when you have a loved one pass away, my friend and I talked about how you have to separate logic from emotion, because when a loved one passes away, you want to keep everything because emotion takes over. So you start to, your rationale, your logic starts to diminish because the emotion becomes more important. For example, like my aunt collected Essence magazine. She was a subscriber of Essence from day one. So she had the day one issue of Essence all the way up until this month's virtual issue of Essence, like everything, and she, seeing her names on the magazines, it's like you want to keep everything. Seeing her mail with her name on it, you want to keep that. Little things that you normally would not care about. Now, because this person has passed away, you have attached this emotional meaning to it, so you want to hold on to everything. And I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. My sister has a house, but my sister has 2 kids and a husband. She can't do that. My brother has 3 kids and a wife. He can't, So we couldn't keep everything. The hard part was deciding what do we let go of and what do we hold on to, even out of the things that she valued. Of course, before she passed away, before they put her on the ventilator, they had to put her in a medically induced coma. Before they did that, she sent me a text message and she said they want to intubate me. I'm afraid. Take care of my clothes and jewelry. And her clothes and jewelry was things that she really like. Out of all of her stuff, her clothes and jewelry was it for her. That's what she really valued. So, it was like hurtful to have to. We had to donate a lot of her clothes. My aunt had tons and tons and tons and tons of clothes. I kept telling my uncle, we could open up a Macy's store. Like, we could open up a consignment shop. If we had the time, we would have done it. It was tons and tons and tons of clothes, but we ended up donating most of it to a sister who has a consignment shop, an elder Black sister who lost her job during COVID. She opened up a consignment shop, an online consignment shop, and we ended up donating all of it to her, So things like that, just going through the clothes, like what do we keep, what do we not keep? After days, weeks, really, we spent weeks, 10 to 12 hours a day just going through everything, which resulted in a lot of things being brought to my house. So I have a 1-bedroom, and like literally I'm looking over at my dining room area, which is covered in bags of clothes and yarn and all kind. I had to get a wardrobe, get her wardrobe rack, rebuild her wardrobe rack, and put like purses. She had like tons of purses and stuff, and put all of that stuff on the wardrobe rack. So I'm still organizing almost a month later. I'm still organizing these things. My sister ended up coming up last week. She came up to New York to help go through things and take some things back with her, some things that my aunt wanted my niece to have, like a lot of her hair stuff. And my aunt had like all kind of stand-up steamers and dryers and all kind of like blow dryers and every flat iron set you could think of. She had like bags and bags and bags of hair stuff. So she wanted all my niece to have all that stuff. She was actually going to gift my niece a lot because my aunt had sister locks before she passed. So a lot of her hair stuff, she was going to gift it to my niece as soon as my niece was able to come to New York. And my niece was supposed to come to New York this month in March to come pick it up from my aunt, but she passed away. So my sister came to get the stuff and just really like help put the finishing touches on cleaning it out. So we just finished cleaning up her house this week on Sunday. We just finished cleaning up her house, and honestly, y'all, it's still not even finished. We didn't even do the basement closet where my aunt also collected records. So that's where her record collection is. Basically like the stuff that her and my uncle have combined, because he too collected records. You hear the New York City sirens? Like, let's New York, y'all. It's a beautiful day out here, though. It's 60-something degrees in New York, so it's yeah. But yeah. Her in the basement, she had record collection and more nail stuff and all of that stuff. So we, we still have to go through that. Her sewing machines and all kind of stuff is still at the house. So we're technically still not finished, but it feels more finished than what we started. It was so funny because me and my sister kept saying every time we feel like we're done, we found a new storage bin. We found a new load of stuff. Like we open up another drawer or we find another basket, or, every time it felt like we was done, we were not done. So now we feel basically almost complete. It's just the last few things, that we got to go through. So that was dealing with the physical stuff of what's going on, the physical, like, cleaning up the house and getting everything in order and making sure everything was, taken care of. That's the physical stuff we had to deal with within this past month. Now let's talk about the mental and emotional. Mentally and emotionally, this journey has definitely been interesting. I've been using the term whirlwind. It's been a whirlwind. I've been finding myself using that term a lot to describe the feelings of like what's going on. It was a whirlwind of emotion. And I will explain why. And this is where I start to kind of like, I might tell a little bit of business, but it needs to be told to for you to fully understand what's happening, right? When my uncle called me on February 8th to tell me that my aunt was, on life support. Well, we knew she was on life support, but they told him that she only had a couple days left. We were shocked. We were surprised. But he called me and said that, and then turned around and said, well, we didn't really have a relationship. I wasn't emotionally connected with her. I wasn't in love with her, yada, yada, yada. And all of that was like, whoa. So everything was happening quickly. Like he's saying all of this quickly, all in like one long sentence. Like they said she only have a couple days to live. So I want to have her buried in Augusta next to your grandmother. But I also want to, have a viewing for her in New York. We weren't really emotionally connected like that. I didn't love her. Like he's saying all of this. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. So it was all happening very fast when he said it. My main focus was my aunt, what's going on with her, making sure she was okay. When she passed on February 13th, of course, dealing with the feelings of losing her and processing our relationship, because my aunt and I were very, very close. We spoke every single day, whether if it was on a phone or via text message. We talked every single day. So things have been different, processing her passing, processing her not physically, of course, spiritually we have our relationship, but processing her not physically being here has been difficult. It's been like a shock. It's been like just the little things. I always say it's the little things that you miss. Like Queen Sugar came back on, and me and my aunt, before she passed away, she called me like, "Oh, Queen Sugar is coming back." The show Queen Sugar. She's like, "Queen Sugar is coming back. We gotta watch it. Like, you wanna come over here? We gonna watch it together. The season premiere." Okay, Auntie, I'ma come. Judas and the Black Messiah, the Fred Hampton story. My aunt loved like Black history and stuff like that. Before she passed away, when I was at her house, we would watch it one night in Miami together. So we saw the preview for Judas and the Black Messiah, the Fred Hampton story, and she was like, "You gotta come back over here on the 12th because we're gonna watch that, yada yada yada." She passed on the 13th. So things like that, like seeing Queen Sugar pop up on TV, a commercial for it, seeing Judas and the Black Messiah, and like, dang, I'm supposed to be watching this with my auntie, stuff like that. Like, it's just like, wow, something. We both love like lipstick and stuff like that. So like, a cute little lipstick shade comes out, and I'm like, oh, Fenty dropped something new. I'm like, used to texting her like, "Auntie, Fenty got da 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 da," and it's not that anymore, so. That's the shock. You know what I'm saying? Those are the things you have to get used to speaking to this person every single day, especially once again when it's sudden. Like she just was here and then gone. It's like, whoa, I didn't even get time to like warm up to this. It's just, she's gone. So dealing with that has been a mental like, okay, we gotta process this. We have to process like training myself to not pick up the phone to call or text her. Not like waking up in the morning, and if I was to sleep in, usually my aunt would have texted me and she would be going off on me like, "Why you not texting me back? Are you okay?" So like waking up after sleeping in one day and being like, "Oh, let me text my aunt," and looking at the phone and like, "Oh, she ain't here," like those things is like, whoa, walking into her house to clean her house because, she passed. So, y'all understand, like walking into the house and like her not being in the house. I'm used to her either opening the door for me, or if my uncle opens the door for me, she's upstairs and I'm saying hey to my uncle, we have a conversation, and I go upstairs to see my auntie. Like, things are just different. So really processing the difference of like, she's not here. And emotionally, honestly, that has not been, it's been, I was going to say that has not been difficult. It hasn't been difficult, but it's been different, if that makes sense. It hasn't been difficult, but it's been different. It's been a different journey. I just have to process a new way of thinking and living without her. But that's been okay. Like, but also because of my spirituality, I'm able to communicate with her in other ways. So I feel her presence, I know, like, she's with me. So that hasn't been bothering me as much. What has been tough? Dealing with my uncle. Okay. And I'ma just keep it real with you. That's what's been tough. Like, that's all I could say. Okay, and I'm gonna say some more before, like, that has been tough. And let me explain why that has been tough. Because, within a marriage, something I understand is, and my aunt used to always make clear to me, like, you never know what's going on in somebody's marriage. So you don't judge, you mind your business. She would always tell me that, mind your business when it comes to people's marriage. You don't know what's going on in somebody's marriage. So I'm very, very mindful that, both parties have their own side of the story. Both parties have their own things going on. But my aunt is not here to tell her side of the story, or so we thought. But my uncle is here to tell his. And, I explained in the last video, so I'm not going to go into too deep of detail of like, certain things he's been saying. But basically, as I shared earlier, he just said that he wasn't in love and he wasn't emotionally connected and he should have never married her and all of this other stuff. And I'm like, wow, it was shocking because once again, they've been together 32 years. I wouldn't have thought, my uncle's a kind of a quiet man, so I wouldn't have thought that he felt that way. And he didn't behave as though he felt that way. So that was shocking. But also there was some other things revealed about their relationship and really his behavior in the marriage. And I really, what the difficult part for me is I went through phases of understanding him because because of who I am. I practice empathy. I practice intentional empathy. So I'm listening to him and I'm understanding him and I'm feeling where he comes from. But also feeling my auntie. Also as a woman, feeling my feelings as a woman, because if my man was to do this after I passed, nigga, you feel me? If I was alive and I found out my man felt the way he felt, it would be problematic. Especially in my aunt's situation where she caught COVID taking care of him. So that was just like, me, I had to compartmentalize my feelings. My sister texting me right now. I had to compartmentalize my feelings of like empathizing with him and understanding him, feeling how I feel, feeling my auntie's feelings, feeling hurt for her, feeling angry for her, feeling sad for her, and then as a woman, feeling deceived. Because I am his niece who is a woman who thought that he was a certain type of person or a certain person, and he was not that. And not to say that he's a bad person, but within their marriage, I felt deceived. And I wanted to know, as his niece, tell me what's some lessons I could learn. Because I want to know, how did we go from, what did I miss? What did she miss? And then as my aunt, for my aunt, and I say as her and for her, because something that I realized was, y'all, I'm going to let these sirens go by. But something I realized was that I was holding on to my aunt's anger for her. I realized that, I was mad at him for her. I was like, how could you say these things? Because he wasn't just telling me this. He told a couple people this stuff. And I'm like, how could you damage her reputation like that after she passed? Why would you know that this is not things that she would want people, like, why would you say this? Why would you do this? Like, why, and then on top of that, I dare you say something crazy, like you didn't love her and you should have never married her, and this woman died taking care of your ass. She didn't feel that way. This is not how she carried it. And you can say what you want to say, but she did not feel that way. And she showed you she did not feel that way. So feeling all of her anger, I realized that, I was harboring resentment on her behalf. So I had to release that. I had to choose to release holding on to my auntie's anger. I had to choose to release holding on to a grudge that was not mine. Once I intentionally released that anger, released her feelings, I was left with the empathy for him, but still the deceit I felt, still the questions I had. And that's where me and him were able to have a conversation. Once I was able to release her anger, I was really able to have a few conversations, okay? Because I'm a person where, in most situations, if I feel a way, I got a few questions. Okay, I need to know a few things. I want to know why, how, what, where. I don't have my gauges in, so I keep checking if my earrings is in my ear, because I don't have my gauges in, so they're hanging through stretched holes. so I keep checking to make sure it didn't drop. But yeah, I got a lot of questions. I want to know why. I want to know how. I want to know when. I want to know where. I want to know all of that. So working through my feelings of like, but why did you stay? Why did you do this? Did you tell her? Did she know? Like, what's up? Working through all of that was interesting. Having these deep conversations with him was interesting. And honestly, I recommend it. Y'all. If you have feelings about something, you have to really channel the courage to have a conversation with the person about it. If you feel hurt, you feel deceived, whatever it is, if you can have a conversation with the person about it, and not to say that the person is going to be open, that the person is going to tell you what you want to hear, or tell you what you want to know, or what you think you deserve to know. Not to say that, but this is to say that at least you will know something. At least something will be answered. And then you have the opportunity to process and put together and puzzle piece together however you choose. But not in all cases, but in most cases, it's always good to be able to have a conversation with somebody. You know, the intention with talking to the person is really just to gain some clarity on your how, whys, when. And I do advise that you know, gather a list of questions. Some things that you can put together and really, you know, you can ask questions about, like I want to know why you did this. I want to know why did you say this. I want to know when you did this, what was your intention? Like, did you have conversation? All of that stuff. Have those conversations with those people, you know. And honestly, another blessed thing was, but have those conversations with those people, because you never know what can come from it. You know, you never know what can happen. You never know what can be spoken through, what can be talked through, what can be understood, or whatever. You never know. So have those conversations. And then, as we were going through my aunt's things, we found her journals. We found letters. My auntie told her story without telling her story. And this is why journaling is so important. This is why writing is so important, because when you go, this is what will be left. You know, this is what will be left. So journaling is key. You know, we found out a lot of things that we didn't know. And some things I'll keep private, but what I will share is that one particular letter she wrote to a person who is very high in their religion, my aunt and uncle, Jehovah's Witness. So she wrote a letter to someone who is very high ranking in their religion, and basically like asking for help. And everything that my uncle said he felt and everything he said he did, she wrote about it in that letter. She did know. She did know. He did tell her. She had found out. And there were some things that he didn't say. You know, some things that he didn't go in detail about. Some things that me and my sister was like, oh, you, and he in the next room, mind you, going through her stuff in the closet. We in the bedroom, going through the stuff in the bedroom, and we finding stuff. And me and my sister like, nigga, this nigga had the nerve. We really, he got us fucked. And then my uncle come past the where we trying to act regular. Fuck that nigga. You know, like it was that type of energy, you feel me? Because these letters was crazy. It was in detail. It was like the things he said he had done, but in detail, like who he did it with and all of that stuff. So us finding out more detail of the level of deceit and disrespect that my aunt tolerated in that marriage was like, damn. However, she shares responsibility. You know, she shares responsibility because she stayed, because she still dealt with it. Even years, the letter that we found was from 2015. We in 2021. So it's 6 years later and you still was there. You know what I'm saying? And we don't, you know, granted, they had an arrangement. But the thing was, you know, as the nieces, we just had no idea. So our whole perception was like, whoa. You know, that's really what it was. So processing, you know, finding out all of these revelations. If anybody has ever had someone in their family who passed and big secrets get revealed, you're dealing with the grief of losing the person, plus the deception and shock of what you thought you knew you did not know. So you have to process that. And then also, the feelings that come from that. We felt angry, we felt deceived, we felt hurt, we felt disappointed because this male figure, who was a dominant male figure in both me and my sister's life, since my sister was a little girl, and for me before I was born. My sister's 14 years older than me, so she remembers when they met. For me, I'm 30. They've been together for 32 years. They've been married since before I was born. So my whole life, and from when my sister was a little girl, he's been a dominant male figure. And this person is not who he thought. I'm not going to say he's not who we thought he was, but he didn't behave how we thought he behaved, which in turn, he's not who we thought he was, and we're processing. And thankfully my sister came, so we were able to kind of like do it together. Like, girl, can you believe? Girl, what? Like, all of this to say, dealing with the mental capacity, the mental space that all of this has taken up this past month, has been a lot. Mentally thinking about, we got to go through all of this stuff. My uncle was throwing stuff away because, things that, like, he was just kind of like on a mission, so a lot of stuff got thrown away. All my degrees and awards, my aunt had all of my degrees and awards from the time I was in college till now, grad school, all of that. Every award. I used to be on a debate team. I used to be an NCNW, shout out to the National Council of Negro Women, all of that stuff. All of my stuff my aunt had, and my uncle wasn't even paying attention, and he threw all of it away. So that's gone, so a lot of stuff got thrown away, things that we valued, and that processing the mental space of like, we got to hurry up and get this stuff out because we don't want it to get thrown away. And then where we're going to put it, how we're going to store all of this stuff, what's going to happen, on top of the mental space of, my aunt lived a unfortunate life. Like, we always felt like she had a beautiful life and wasn't grateful for it, but deep down inside, she was dealing with a lot of stuff, which we also found out, unbeknownst to us, she also was an alcoholic, and we didn't even know. We didn't know that she was an alcoholic. As we cleaning out the rooms, we found tons and tons of liquor bottles. I may be able to insert that somewhere. We found tons and tons of hitting like gallon-sized vodka bottles throughout the house. I thought I had got most of them out, but even when my sister came, we still found some tucked in certain places. Like, a lot was revealed. So dealing with the mental space of like, sorting out her life, sorting out their marriage, and what this means for us, all of that took up a lot of mental space, a lot of mental energy, and it was a lot. So emotionally, emotions were up and down. I was riding the wave of emotions of sadness, of shock, shock that she was gone, sad that she was gone. Peace, with I'm glad that she's at peace. I'm glad that she has her time to rest. Peace that all is well. But also anger with him, and frustration with things being thrown away, and feeling rushed, and feeling, it was just like emotional roller coasters, to the point that I wasn't sleeping. I would wake up in the middle of the night. When I would go to sleep, I would wake up like every hour on the hour, just thinking, and like, texting him like, I got a question, I need to know this, and wondering what to do and all of that stuff. And how did I get to the other side of where I am now, with this emotional roller coaster that was happening because of the mental capacity of dealing with all of the things that was going on in my physical reality. So understand that all of these things are happening in the physical. It's taking up a lot of mental space. It's causing an emotional roller coaster. I had to do a holistic wellness check-in and ask myself, what is happening right now? What is going on? I found myself kind of just like questioning, am I depressed? Is this a depression? What is this space? I can't put my finger on this space that I am in right now. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know what to call it. I don't know what to name it. What is this space? That's what I had to ask myself. I was still physically taking care of myself. I was still working out. I was still, bathing and all of that stuff. And, because sometimes, of course, we go through we ask ourselves, what are the symptoms of depression? Symptoms of depression can look like anything from not wanting to care for yourself, not wanting to get out the bed, wanting to sleep all day, not wanting to be around people, desiring to be isolated, losing your routine, your wellness routine, things like that can be signs of depression, and a lot more, feeling down, having a lot of negative self-talk and negative thoughts and things like that. So I had to do a check-in and ask myself, like, am I depressed? Because I didn't have a label for this. I didn't have a label for this emotional roller coaster. I didn't have a label for these thoughts. I didn't have a label for what was going on. So the first label I went to was like, is this depression? As I was running through the checklist, I was like, okay, I'm taking care of myself every day. Like, things are happening quickly once again when cleaning out the house. So I'm like, I'm getting up every day. I'm bathing every day. I'm working out. I'm eating well. I was eating semi well. Like, I was, of course, because we're busy, I wasn't eating regularly, but I'm eating, I'm not eating because don't want to eat. You feel me? Like, so I'm eating okay. I'm moving throughout life regularly, but there's just a lot going on. So I didn't feel like I was depressed. There wasn't like a lot of negative self-talk. There wasn't like a lot of like blaming and pointing the finger. There was a lot of processing. So I understood that, and I realized, like, okay, this is not necessarily depression. I will say I didn't necessarily want to be around people all the time. I didn't want, I had a couple friends, like, they was having COVID times, but they was having a get together at their house, and they wanted me to come through, and I just wasn't desiring to come through. I just wasn't in that mental space. I wasn't in the mental space to go to parties and go out and all that stuff. So I wasn't there. With the wellness community, I wasn't in a space to like give. That's the thing. I should say that. I wasn't in a space to like give energy. I didn't have any energy to give out. As I said in my last video, everything that was left in my cup, I needed for me. I needed to be able to take care of myself, because so much was going on in the physical reality. So much was going on in the mental space. I needed my energy to be able to deal with this emotional roller coaster resulting in everything going on. So I wasn't even answering the phone for certain friends who I knew was calling me to receive. They're going through their thing. So they're calling me because they want my advice. They want me to pray with them. They want me to do things for them. I wasn't in a space to do that. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's not my normal self. So that was also a reason I had to ask myself, like, am I depressed? Like, I don't want to do what I do. I don't want to do work for people. Like, that's not me. Like, what's up? And what I came to realize is that what I was going through was not depression. What I was going through was grief. Grief. And grief can bring on depression. Grief can bring on multiple things. But the label for what I was dealing with was grief. That emotional roller coaster was grief. And I would realize that I was grieving more, and this was the lesson. I was grieving more than my aunt's death. I was grieving the perception of what I thought I knew. That's what I was grieving. I was grieving the perception of what I thought I knew. I thought I knew what was going on. I thought I knew what she was going through. I thought I knew what she was dealing with. I thought I knew what their marriage was. I thought I knew what their relationship was. I thought I knew how my uncle felt. I thought I knew these things, but in reality, I did not. So I was grieving what I thought was true. And oftentimes, we don't realize that. Grief is more than just death. Grief is more than just a loss of a person. grief, you can go through a grieving process over the loss of what you thought was true. You can lose a friendship and grieve it. You can lose a relationship and grieve it. You can lose the perception of your reality and grieve it. And that's what I had to realize. Sometimes the perception of yourself, and you think you know yourself and you find out you don't, and you grieve the person that you thought you knew. Sometimes with other people, you think you know someone and they show you another side of themselves, and you have to grieve the perception of who you thought you knew. So that's what I realized. I realized I was dealing with multiple levels of grief. So it was double grief. It wasn't just the grief of a passing, it was the grief of what I thought I knew. And that's when my healing process really took off. Once I was able to realize, like, okay, this is grief on multiple levels, I was able to really like tap into my healing. So let's get to the healing aspect of it. What are some things that I did to get to healing? How did I get to healing? First things first. Rest in peace, Uncle Phil. Hey, for real, you the only father that I ever knew. Okay. Shout out to J. Cole. But first things first, for real, I had to feel my feelings. That was the true first step of like my healing process. Allowing myself to feel my feelings. Sometimes we will block our feelings off, block our emotions off, as a way just to like get through and deal with the business of things and deal with what has to happen. Or sometimes there's too much emotion to deal with, and we don't know how to deal with it. But I didn't. I just allowed myself to feel my feelings. I allowed myself to go through the process. The nights that I was waking up constantly thinking about her, I checked in. How do you feel? What are you thinking about? Is this your anger or is this her anger? That is what really helped me, like asking myself, what feelings are mine and what feelings am I feeling for others? Because as an empath, a lot of times we feel the feelings for other people. I was feeling anger for her, regret for her, all that stuff. So I had to often ask myself, are these my feelings or are these her feelings? And if I realized that these were her feelings, I released them. If I realized that has nothing to do with me, I released those emotions, I released those feelings. And that process helped me a lot. So feeling my feelings, deciding or asking myself which ones are mine and which feelings belong to other people. Any feelings that belong to other people, I released them and I dealt with my own feelings. To deal with my own feelings, another thing I did that helped my healing process was writing it out. I would just write. How do you feel? Why do you feel this way? What are you learning from this? Talking to friends, like my friends, shout out to my friends, shout out to my tribe, talking to people about how I felt, getting a lot of this out. And when you got a tribe, they felt me. You feel me? So having my feelings validated by other people, because we need that, my tribe being like, oh, hell no. Like when moments that I was like, hell no, my tribe was like, hell no, but also helping me deal with logic, helping me understand what was going on and how we may have missed certain cues and things like that, so being able to have conversation really helped me a lot. That was like a form of therapy for me. And then another thing that helped me with my healing journey was, honestly, y'all, every day was not easy to get up and decide to get up and get ready and go do what I had to do. Trust me, there was days that I did not want to go to the house. There was days that I did not feel like, being in there and going through stuff. And I still had to get up. I forced myself to get up, forced myself to get dressed, forced myself to go over there. So even when I wasn't feeling it, I would force myself to do what I had to do. Self-care time. when I didn't feel like a part of self-care for me, and this is a habit I'm working in, because as y'all know and I've spoken about in the past, I have not always been a fan of like working out. I have not. But I recently bought a stationary bike, and I've been doing, the stationary bike and stuff like that, and going for walks, like very long walks, and even times where I didn't feel like doing that, still forcing myself to get up, put some clothes on, and go for a walk. Just go out, just breathe, just give myself some time to get some sun and just release, allowing myself that space in that room to be able to do that. So these are some things that help me. Also with self-care, taking long showers, taking long baths, after 10, 12 hours a day of sorting through clothes and stuff like that, being tired, and I'm like, I'm gonna take me a shower. I wouldn't just come home and just dive in the bed. No, I'm gonna take me a shower, intentional shower. Put my essential oils in there. I got my stones in there. I'm rubbing myself down in my clear quartz and my amethyst, and a spiritual bath. And I'm drinking my herbs. I still maintained my self-care throughout the entire journey, making sure that I'm taking my sea moss, I'm taking my burdock root, my bladderwrack, and all of the things, my aloe, and just keeping myself going. So I do advise that if you have a wellness care routine, you have a way that you maintain your wellness, even in your lowest emotional moments, even when you don't feel like it, force yourself to take the herbs. Force yourself to take the shower, and trust me, I know it's not easy, but you have to force yourself to do it. Force yourself to get up and take that shower, take that spiritual bath, take those herbs, get on that bike, go for that walk. That helps. And even in those moments where it doesn't feel like it's helping, trust me, it's helping. Your self-care routine, keeping your wellness routine going in times where the emotions are a roller coaster is vital, because that kind of helps restore balance. It kind of helps keep normalcy, especially when it's a part of your norm. For me, taking herbs and going for walks and stuff like that, that's a part of my norm. So keeping that norm going when everything else around me is abnormal, losing my aunt is abnormal, having to go through her stuff is abnormal, dealing with the whole relationship and all that stuff, that's abnormal. Keeping that normalcy for me helped kind of bring balance to the abnormal. So I definitely highly advise that you do that, okay? Doing all of that has really helped me in my healing journey. And it has helped me get to the space that I am in now. So the space that I'm in now, I am much better. I am reclaiming my time, as Maxine Waters would say. I'm definitely in the process of reclaiming my time. Okay, now that my sister came, we finished cleaning up my auntie's house, and almost finished. I every time I say finish cleaning up, I feel like a little asterisk pop in, and this is the mental capacity thing. Feeling an asterisk pop in, like, but the sewing machines and the rest of the dolls and the records and but almost. Now that we're almost done, I'm not going over there daily for 10-12 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? That's that. So now that I'm not doing that, I get the opportunity to start reclaiming my time and getting back to business, getting back to doing what I love to do, which is, wellness work and all of that stuff. Just really, just reclaiming my time, reclaiming my energy, and all of that. It's my aunt's memorial is on the 13th, so we'll have her memorial 1 month after her passing, and I'm preparing for that as well, and I am internally, holistically well. Mentally, I have more mental space for my own things. You know what I'm saying? I'm not concerned about doing other things and what I gotta do for that situation. Now I have time to be more concerned about myself and just getting back to self emotionally, getting back to self. I'm not consumed with the emotions of how I feel dealing with this situation. We processed that, we got through that, we understand both sides, and now it's about what's going on in my life and all of that. And so basically I'm getting back to me. I'm returning to self, and that feels good. I feel like I realized last night that it's been a while since I've spent some time just really thinking about me. You know what I'm saying? And that feels good. My dog is whining in the back because he's tired of being in the crate. You know, it's a nice day. So he just was outside for 2 hours. But I'm going to take him back outside after I finish this video. Okay. But yes, you know, so just really like, just really getting back to self, getting back to me. I'm very, very grateful for that. And I am in a better space, you know, healing, 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 healing. So I'm excited to get back to work. I'm excited to get back to doing what I love, because that's also healing for me. Helping other people heal is healing for me. And once again, family, just keep going, keep going. I cannot explain enough how important maintaining your wellness while you are dealing with other shit. Okay, when you're going through something, maintaining your wellness is so key. Doing what you have to do to maintain your wellness. As I said, those herbs, those spiritual baths, moving your physical body, yoga, working out, going for a walk, whatever it is, getting some sun, sunbathing. There was days where I would just go out on my balcony and hands up and just embrace the sun and allow the sun to restore my energy. Those things are so important and so key. You know, we have to. Anything you can do to restore your energy, do that. You have to fight for your wellness, because your wellness is really all that you truly have. If you are not well, what good are you? You know, so fight for your wellness. What tools restore your energy? What helps you restore your energy? And do that. Okay, do that. Whatever it takes to restore your energy, you do that. And you will be well. All right, family. I love y'all so much. Much peace, much light. Peace.